Now here we are, hours away from the trade deadline. The New York Mets 6 games over the 500 mark, a half game back of the Atlanta Braves for the top wild card spot, and just 9 games back of the struggling Philadelphia Phillies, who got pounded by the Yankees. The Mets need to show what they're made of. Not the map for the future and the crap about the prospects. We all understand how important that is. We also all understand that there's no chance that your top 5, top 10, that all of them hit. So it is on you. This is your job, David Stearns. That's why you're paid the big bucks. That's why you were brought in from Milwaukee to be the president of the New York Mets. It's your job to identify which ones are going to work, which ones aren't. Not easy, but that's why you get paid the big bucks. Figure it out. And while you figure that out, you need to stop evaluating this year because it is what it is. Whether you want to change things in the offseason and make big moves there, letting Alonso walk, trading McNeil, whatever it may be, however you want to reshape the core of this group or this team in general to build it forward to have sustained success, which minor leaguers you want to bring up and give them an opportunity next year, that's on Stearns, and that's a story for the offseason. However, right now, there are things that you could plan now for 2, 3, 4 years down the road. You may not ever be in this spot that you're in again. We saw it happen in 2015 with this franchise, where they were a 500 team. And they were that way because of the great pitching. And they desperately needed a bat. We begged, we pleaded, do something. They finally brought up Michael Conforto, and then they finally, at the last second, made one of the great trades in the history of the franchise, getting Yoenis Cespedes. Begrudgingly so, I might add, with Sandy Alderson. Wasn't his first choice, but it was his best choice and his best move. And it changed the shape of that season. The Mets took off like a rocket ship, steamrolling the Nationals, sweeping away the Cubs in the postseason after a grueling series with the Dodgers. And then obviously going on to the World Series. That team didn't look like a World Series team from start to finish, but they were. They ended up being that because in part of the trade, the big trade to get Yoenis Cespedes. Today is a day where you can change the outlook of an entire season. You can change the trajectory of a franchise. Are the Mets just going to sit on their hands and get another pitcher? Some mid-starter or some mid-reliever like they added already, a couple of those guys? Or are they going to show some guts and go for it? Doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work. I mean, the Mets could have had egg on their face after trading Cespedes, after trading Fulmer for Yoenis Cespedes, but they didn't. They big risk, high reward. And they got to see the fruits of their labor. However they got there, they got there. Will this regime, this ownership, this president, will they do the same? Or are they going to sit back and say, you know what? This was not supposed to be the year that we go all in anyway. We want to keep our farm system intact, in total, not trading any of it. And we don't want to give what it's going to cost to get a difference-making piece. Because I'll tell you this, I don't care if it's Snell, and I don't care what the reports are. Oh, the Giants are going to hold on to him. Yeah, okay, I'm not buying that. They're going to hold on to him because they haven't gotten the right price yet. Everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price. Will the Mets be willing to pay the price to get their team to another level? Now. Not next offseason, now. I think they should give it to them. The team has earned it. Watch them play. Oh, my God. A Met fan's going to a panic of negativity. Oh, my God. They lost 2 games to the Braves. The season is over. I knew this was going to happen. No. Wrong again. That's a loser mentality. I don't know about you, but I've raised my expectations. Actually, my expectations have always been high, but especially since Steve Cohen has taken over ownership, the expectation should be raised. He said it. I'm with him. Now they need to deliver, and they have to date. They have. They should have earned your trust to know that if they lose 2 games to the Braves, it's not the end of the world. They split the series. They didn't lose it. They lost a couple of games. Big deal. The bats went cold for a week. Not the end of the world. Broke out of it in a big way last night. They've earned that trust by their play this year. Now they need to take it to another level. And if you are going to be a king, as I dub Steve Cohen, if you're going to be a king, you need to operate like a king. A king does not get a mid-reliever and call it a day. A king goes out there and gets the best of the best. You want this franchise to be taken seriously? You want to be on par with the New York Yankees? Obviously, you can never match the Yankees' history, but you want to catch up to where the Yankees have been at in recent years and get to their level? You need to make big moves. The Yankees made a king-like move getting Juan Soto. They made another big move, trading for Jazz Chisholm. And maybe they have more big moves up their sleeve. I wouldn't doubt it. Will the Mets be operating in a similar fashion, or are they going to be scared? Are they going to act like they don't believe in this team that they sold us? They sold us on this team, and now this team is exceeding the lowered expectations just like they had planned and hoped for. It is their job to go for it. Cohen said that he would. He said this before the season. He was asked directly about if there's money to be added, potentially the deadline, would you take it on? He said yes. I'm paraphrasing, but go back and check the quotes. It happened. I remember it. Now's the time. Today's the day. Maton, nice move. Stanek, whatever. Jesse Winker, solid. Those aren't king-like moves. The Mets need to make a big move today to be taken seriously. Results may vary. Whatever the results show at the end of the season, win or lose, fall short of the playoffs, lose in the first round, win a first round, whatever the results may be, we'll deal with them at the time. Today, the results need to be all in. They had an opportunity in 2022, and you know what happened? They were scared because of what they did the year prior in trading Pete Crow Armstrong for Javi Baez. Oh, how can you give up a prospect and Pete Crow Armstrong? It was the right move. It just didn't work out. It was the right move in theory, wasn't the right move in reality. They traded for the wrong guy with Javi Baez. And that scared them in 2022 and prevented them from going all in on a team that wound up winning 101 games and should have won the division and maybe change the way that postseason. Instead, you know what happened? They don't win the division. They lose in the wildcard round to the Padres. But 2021 changed their thinking in 2022. We all saw it. We all know it. Well, they need to get back to the aggressive mentality before they got burned by that trade. They need to get back to that now. This team is actually better than the team in 2022. They don't have the starting pitching, but their offense is significantly better. And they desperately need to add a high-end starter. And there are those guys available. You could get a high-end reliever, which they need, and a high-end starter, which they need. There's no reason why the Mets can't figure it out. Pay the price. You could be smart, but you have to pay the price and take advantage of an opportunity that's right in front of you now. Otherwise, you cannot be taken seriously. Otherwise, you cannot be called king. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. BT and Sal on the fan. BT off. He'll be back with me tomorrow. We'll get to the Yankees as well in a little bit. Wanted to start with the Mets aspect. Peyton is calling from Bridgeport. What's up, Peyton?
Less than 8 hours. Less than 8 hours for the Mets to make it work. Okay? It's been 40 years. All right? I know you say this team is better than 2022, and I think that they can solidify that today by 6 o'clock. How they do it, I don't know. You got to bring a guy in like Terry Collins back into the organization to be the spark plug to get these to get these guys fired up for the playoffs.
Well,
okay?
I think that, now, you know I love TC, Peyton, but that's not a story for today. They have the right guy with Carlos Mendoza. The big point is they have an opportunity in front of them, Peyton. They're right there right now, and thank you for the call. They're right there with anybody. You can't tell me otherwise. That's the facts. How it plays out, nobody knows. The facts are right now, the New York Mets are right there. Nobody expected it, maybe outside of that building, and to give them credit. Cohen said playoffs, Stearns said playoffs, we laughed at them. They were right. This is a playoff team. Now they got to finish it off, but they could be more than just a playoff team. Nobody thought they would catch Atlanta, including the people in the building. Nobody thought they'd be on the Phillies level, including the people in the building. They're there. I know 9 games sounds like a lot. There's 50 games to go, more than 50 games to go. And the Phillies are coming back down to the pack a little bit. And the Mets are playing good baseball and have been one of the best teams, if not the best team in baseball since June 7th. It's an extended period now. It's not a couple of lucky weeks. With the right moves, all in, big boy moves, the New York Mets can be right back in the conversation as being one of the top teams in baseball as far as having a chance to win a World Series. You cannot sit on your hands. You did it in 2022. And look where it got you. Go for it. Win or lose. Succeed or fail. This team has earned the right to have that front office go for it. If that means trading 1 or 2 of your top 10 prospects, so be it. Figure out which ones aren't going to pan out in your mind. May not work out, that's fine. But you do it. And you do it for the right move. I'm not saying getting reckless. Like, I wouldn't trade 2 top prospects for Flaherty because Flaherty is a rental. But I would take on money and trade top prospects for Skubal. I would take on Blake Snell's contract and give up a prospect or 2. Now, you got to be smart about it. If I'm taking on the entire salary and letting the Giants get out from under that, I'm not going to give them 2 top 10 guys. Obviously, Stearns is going to be smart about that. Point is, there is a price that can be paid to get you a top starter. I'm not saying you got to do it, before 2 o'clock, before I sign off. You got to do it before 6 o'clock, before the deadline ends. So whatever the price is, whatever the back and forth may be, figure it out. And the Mets need to come away with one of those top starters and a top reliever. Doesn't have to be, the guy from Miami, Tanner Scott. Doesn't have to be the top guy, but a top guy in the bullpen and one of Snell, Skubal, Flaherty. Think about how you'd feel tonight, 6:01, if the Mets acquired both those guys. One top reliever, one top starter. You'd feel like the sky is the limit, and you'd be excited about this team. Ready to go to Citi Field the rest of the year supporting this team, believing that not only can they be a playoff team, maybe they could chase down the Phillies. And even if they don't chase down the Phillies, when they get to the postseason, they could beat anybody. That is what the Met fans should be feeling today come 6 o'clock. Charlie is in Bethpage. What's up, Charlie?
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Great, Charlie. How are you?
Good. I'm all in with you. This team's exciting me. I got to disagree with you. It's like you're saying you had expectations. I had no expectations. April and May was the worst baseball I have ever seen. I still want my money back from opening day, but they have played great baseball. Been going to the games. Friday night I was there. Sunday was a mess, but Friday night was electric at the stadium on Friday night. Electric. They'll bang the ball out. Alonso last night, I'm glad the bats woke up. But if we don't get a pitcher, we're not going to be in it. We need a reliever till, like you're saying, and we're playing the best baseball since June and July, and I want to carry right through August and September. But they got to do something. I don't want to hear the evaluation.
No excuses. Thank you for the call, Charlie. Things change in season. Look at last year, for example, where it went the other way. The expectation was that the Mets were a team that could win the World Series. Matter of fact, the owner himself, the man I dubbed King Cohen, thought that Carlos Correa, like we all did, was the final piece. So much so that he was going to pay a ridiculous amount to get him. And obviously that fell apart, but still, the Mets going into last season thought that they were going to be one of the top teams in baseball coming off of 2022. Didn't work out. What happened? They pivot. They adjust on the fly and say, this isn't the year. Here's what we're going to do. And it was brilliant. Well, coming into this year, it was, hey, we hope to be a playoff team. and maybe we'll add here or there. Well, things have changed. Where the Mets are now, right now, before even adding a move, dealing with the minor league bullpen all year long, all the injuries that they've had, being 11 games under at one point in the season, starting 0-5, rookie manager, Alonso not having a good year at all, McNeil not doing nothing until the All-Star break. All of those things, and they're still right there amongst the top teams in the National League. Half game behind the big, bad Atlanta Braves. And only 9 games back of the Phillies, who are coming back down to the pack. Dodgers, Brewers, Phillies, and by a half a game, the Braves. That's it. Those are the only teams that have a better record than the Mets, and that's for now. You tell me the Mets can't beat them in a postseason series, any of those teams? We've seen it. We've seen it before with lesser teams. They have clear areas of need. They have resources. Go all in. The results may vary. We understand that. Nothing is guaranteed. This is sports. They owe it not only to that team, they owe it to the fan base. Carmen is in Linden, New Jersey. What's up, Carmen?
Hey, Sal. How you doing?
How are you, Carmen?
I'm doing great, Sal. I just want to say something. You said it all. It's time for, I just hope that Uncle Stevie realizes, and he was a Met fan. He's got the money. Everything you just said. It's a matter of money. Put your money where your mouth is. Believing in this team. I hope Stearns doesn't have any influence in terms of building for the future. I think it's time, like you said, if you got to get rid of a couple prospects, but you can buy back contracts. Like you said, he's got the money. Money doesn't matter. And I really got to believe that Steve Cohen is truly a Mets fan before he was an owner.
Well,
and I got to believe he sees this situation like you just described it. The Mets have shown, I'm a Yankee fan, but I love New York teams doing well. I've always rooted for the Mets in the National League. He's got to see what we all say. The Mets do deserve it. The fans deserve it, and he deserves it.
It is rare, Carmen, and thank you for the call. It is rare, especially for the New York Mets. Remember, we're talking about a franchise that has made the postseason in consecutive years twice in its history. 1999, 2000, 2015, 2016. He's got to understand, Cohen and Stearns, that when, and I think that they do. Remember, I believe in Steve. I'm the one who's been screaming it for years. I believe in Steve. I'm the one who dubbed him King Cohen. I do believe, and I still believe about Juan Soto in the offseason, all those different things, all that's still in play. I believe at the end of the day, the Mets will have their big boy pants on, and we will see actions of a king. Anything less would be terribly disappointing and disheartening and potentially deflating, not only to the fan base, but to the team. It is rare that you have an opportunity like the Mets. For that franchise, it's rare. You know, the Yankees, different story. They're in it every single year. It's rare that the Yankees miss the postseason. For the Mets, it's different. To have this team exceed expectations and be right there now with the Braves, and I don't want to say on the heels of the Phillies, but at least closing the gap and making it a possibility. And forget even the division. More importantly, the opportunity to beat any team in the postseason. It's all there for the Mets. They need a top starter. They need a top reliever. Everybody's got a price. Figure it out.